The next major version of the iPhone software will likely be called iOS 16 and debut in June. And I have a few ideas for features and fixes I'd like to see Apple include. Apple's Worldwide Developers Conference is weeks away, and we expect to see a preview for iOS 16. Now, rumors for iOS 16 are sparse, which is typical for unreleased software, but if the last 3 versions of iOS are any indication, we're likely to see something that feels like a continuation of iOS 15. And while iOS 15 had a mainly smooth rollout, that doesn't mean there aren't things Apple could add or improve for the iPhone. So, here are some additions and fixes that I'd like Apple to make for iOS 16. And let's start with the ability to copy and paste photo edits. I use my iPhone all the time to take and edit photos. My go-to editor is the iPhone's native Photos app. The interface is straightforward and it's packed with lots of tools. But the macOS version of the Photos app has one useful feature that I hope iOS 16 adopts. And that's the ability to copy and paste edits between photos. Now, this would come in handy anytime I take several photos at the same place, such as at a restaurant or a party. Since all the photos were taken under the same lighting and conditions, I could just simply edit one photo and then copy and paste those adjustments to the other photos. Now, another feature I'd like to see on my iPhone is an always-on display. Imagine being able to glance at your iPhone when the screen is off and see the time, notifications, and missed calls. It's called an always-on display, and such a feature has been available on Android phones for years, where only important information is lit up and the rest of the screen is otherwise black. Now, Apple offers an always-on display for the Apple Watch Series 5 and later, but it's still absent on the iPhone. I hope iOS 16 has a similar version of the Apple Watch's always-on display for the iPhone. Now, another feature I'd like to see in iOS 16 is a split-screen view. The iPhone 11 Pro Max has a 6.5-inch screen, while the 12 Pro Max and 13 Pro Max have a 6.7-inch display. All that space makes watching videos, playing games, and reading articles an absolute delight. But those large screens feel wasted when it comes to software. Now, some iOS apps like Mail and Messages can take advantage of the extra screen space when in landscape mode and show a column of message previews next to the currently open message. But otherwise, there isn't much else in iOS that takes advantage of the bigger screen. And this is where I'd like to see Apple bring some features from iPadOS to iOS 16, just for Pro Max models. And this would give people more options for using a large screen. Specifically, I'd like to see split-screen multitasking view come to iPhone Pro Max models. It'd be wonderful to have Safari open on one side of my phone screen and Messages opened on the other. And that's not the only iOS 16 tool I want to see for the iPhone Pro Max. I'd love to be able to use my Apple Pencil on it too. The large screen on the iPhone Pro Max begs for Apple Pencil support. Now, Samsung proved that there is a substantial audience for a phone stylus through its Galaxy Note and S Ultra devices. Heck, there are even $300 phones like the Moto G stylus that support one. The Apple Pencil, specifically the 2nd Gen one, is outstanding as a stylus, and it currently works with the iPad mini, Air, and Pro models, but imagine being able to use it on an iPhone 13 Pro Max and that 120Hz screen for sketching and note-taking. Even better, what about an Apple Pencil Mini? Think golf pencil sized, that can magnetically attach to the side of the iPhone Pro Max. Hey, a tech journalist can dream, can't he? And speaking of dreams, one of my dreams for iOS 16 is that widgets get an upgrade. When home screen widgets came to the iPhone with iOS 14, many of us rejoiced. Apple's implementation is clean, widgets fit grid-like anywhere on your home screen, but there's one wrinkle. Home screen widgets are passive. Aside from glanceable information, the most functionality they provide is the ability to open their corresponding app. But that's it. For example, the Apple Music widget displays the song that's currently playing. That's great. But if I tap on the widget, it just opens up the Apple Music app. What if I could tap on the Apple Music widget to skip to the next song? What if in the weather widget I could swipe to switch locations? I hope iOS 16 brings more functionality to home screen widgets. And you know what? That's not the only upgrade I'd like to see to the home screen. In iOS 16, I want to finally be able to place apps anywhere I want. In recent years, Apple has improved the home screen with new elements like widgets and the app library. You can have multiple pages of apps. You can even include the same app on different home screen pages. But when it comes to rearranging the app icons on your home page, nothing has changed. Apps are still stuck to the invisible software magnet on the top left side of the screen. So if you want to keep a couple of apps on a specific home screen page, those apps start filling the screen from the top left corner. You can't put them down on the bottom of the screen without filling the top of the page up first. And this is where I hope iOS 16 gives us the freedom to move apps wherever we want. This would be a big boon for one-handed users. Also, if you have a home screen wallpaper that you love, you can arrange the apps so you can see it better. And speaking of better, I'd like iOS 16 to give me a better choice of default apps. I can currently set the default browser app and the default mail app on my iPhone to be something other than Safari and Mail. In iOS 16, I'd like to see Apple open up system defaults for more apps, especially for Maps and messaging. For example, if you're a regular Google Maps user, it would be convenient to set it up as the main Maps app instead of Apple Maps. But whether it's this wish or my other wishes on my iOS wish list, we're going to have to wait until June to see if any of these are included in iOS 16. So that's all I've got. But now I want to hear from you guys. Are there features or bugs that you'd like to see Apple fix for iOS? Throw your thoughts in the comments.